That guy is probably one of the most sophisticated, deceptive atheists I've come across.
Did you mute him?
Yeah, I did. I got tired of his BSing, and then he left.
So the question is, why I think that the things stand in that dependency relationship in the first place?
Well, look, just so we're clear, are you a theist or an atheist?
I'm an atheist.
Enemy spotted.
Okay, good. Well, then you're going to have to deal with the problem is when you verbalize facts to me, your facts are going to be dependencies, and their actuality and their intelligibility will be characterized as an interpretive fact. In order for it to be an interpretive fact, what does it ultimately depend upon? If it's since you discount God as the ground of all being for all dependencies or dependent facts as an interpretive fact, what is it that provides for the intelligibility of facts in your worldview? What is unconditionally non-dependent, sir?
Are you asking me what provides for the intelligibility of facts?
What is it that is unconditionally non-dependent that provides for all dependent states?
So I don't have an official view on this, but here's a view I can put forward for the sake of argument.
Well, that's okay. You don't need to do that, because if you don't have a view, then your answer is it is unknown. Okay? So therefore, whatever facts you present, they're uninterpreted facts, and they're no facts at all. They're meaningless. It's over. That's why your atheism is incoherent.
Could facts change with new information?
In order for a fact to be an interpreted fact, and we're generally speaking about a dependent fact, it can only exist and have intelligibility in virtue of that which it ultimately depends upon. If somebody says, well, I don't know what it ultimately depends upon, then you have an uninterpreted fact, which is no fact at all. It loses its intelligibility. Let me give you an illustration. I say the sky is blue. The atheist says the sky is blue, but we have entirely different unstated premises. Okay. One of those statements, including their unstated premises, is false necessarily. Okay. In other words, one of those positions, the foundation of the dependent fact, doesn't exist. So neither does that dependent fact. It would be non-existent. It would be an uninterpreted fact.
Can I attempt to answer the question, or because I don't actually?
No, it's too late. You've already answered the question. You don't have a basis for facts. Your facts are uninterpreted. It's over.
Can you explain what you mean by saying a fact is uninterpreted?
A fact will either be unconditionally non-dependent or dependent. Now, if you present to me a fact, okay, if it's going to be actual and it's going to be intelligible, which would mean it would be an interpreted fact, then you're going to have to tell me what it ultimately depends upon, which will be the basis of the fact. If you do not tell me what it ultimately depends upon, you are presenting a baseless fact, which is an uninterpreted fact, which means there's no reason why it exists, and it's unintelligible because you don't have a framework for intelligibility.
Right. So I suggested that it's a substantive assumption that there has to be a foundation, and that there might be an infinitely descending series of explanations. And then
no, sir, you can't listen. You're making a mistake. You can't give me this if you're going to verbalize an intelligible fact, okay, what does it ultimately depend upon? You conjecturing is meaningless. Okay? I want to know the basis for any and all facts that are actual and intelligible. Okay? What is it? And if you say, I don't know, it's game over.
So if I say something now, will you accept the answer, or will you take me to be disgenuine?
Okay, the question is, what is it that is ultimate, absolute, and unconditionally non-dependent that provides for all dependent states? What is it?
The cosmos.
Okay, right. Now, interestingly enough, you just said a few minutes ago you didn't know. So why now? How did you have an epiphany? Did you come to the realization that the cosmos is unconditionally non-dependent?
There are interesting arguments for that view.
No, sir. This is not a classroom here where we just throw around ideas and see them bounce off the walls. I'm asking you for a basis, not for you to give me the various conjectures, if this, if that. I'm asking you, do you, as an atheist, possess the capacity to utter facts that are intelligible or interpreted facts? Does your atheism provide for that?
I don't really understand the question.
When you speak forth facts, are these facts going to be dependencies?
Yes.
Okay. In order for them to be actual and intelligible, you're going to need to tell me what they ultimately depend upon. Because if you don't, then you're presenting a baseless fact, and a baseless fact is an uninterpreted fact. An uninterpreted fact is meaningless.
Can I ask a question about that, or am I barred from asking more questions?
No, go ahead.
When you say that something is meaningless, are you using the term meaning in the way that you would say that the word dog means dog? Or are you using it in the way that you would say that the tree rings mean that the tree has a certain age? Or are you
No,
using it in the sense that
no.
someone...
It doesn't mean anything with respect to your system. A dependent fact only means something with respect to its ultimate.
Right, but I'm asking you what you're using the term meaning to mean. Is it a
I'm,
semantic?
I'm saying it doesn't reference anything because there's no context for it to reference anything. It's an uninterpreted fact. An uninterpreted fact is no fact at all.
So I take it that you think that trees exist, right?
Okay, it doesn't matter what I think. What matters is, does your worldview have the capacity for interpreted facts? Okay? And in
Well,
order to have interpreted facts, you're going to have to tell me what is unconditionally non-dependent that provides for dependent facts. What is it?
I mention this because, on your view, presumably trees exist. If I assert...
It doesn't matter what I think right now. What is it? Here's the question. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to answer the simple question. In your worldview, if your atheism is coherent, what is it that is unconditionally non-dependent that provides for all dependent facts?
Are you expecting me to give an answer that you'll actually engage with? Because if I give an answer, I suspect that you're going to say, that's not what I...
Is there something that is unconditionally non-dependent that provides for all dependent facts? It's a simple question.
If I answer it, are you actually going to accept the answer that
I'm waiting for an answer.
Right. So I did suggest an answer that the cosmos is what is unconditional.
Okay. That's right. That's what you said before. But it's interesting. A few minutes ago, you said you didn't know. Did you just pick one just to get out of that conundrum? Because you just changed your mind. How did you all of a sudden come to the realization that it was cosmos when a few minutes ago you said you didn't know?
See, I don't understand why you're asking the question.
Sir, why did you change your mind?
Because if I say that I don't know, then it's not going to be a particularly interesting conversation.
Sir, how did you change your mind that you didn't know what the ultimate nature of reality was, what that which is unconditionally non-dependent? And by the way, when you say the cosmos is the unconditionally non-dependent, that's incoherent. Do you know why?
I'm sure you can explain it to me.
Okay, is the cosmos the set of all things that exist?
It's a whole it's a whole that has as parts everything.
Is the cosmos unconditionally non-dependent?
Yes.
Okay. Is the cosmos the set of all entities?
No.
Okay. What is?
What is the set of all entities?
Yeah. So can you explain to me? So the cosmos is unconditionally non-dependent. Okay. What is the cosmos? Is it the set of all the heavens and the earth, all the sun, the moon, and the stars, all the time-space continuum?
No, because a set is an abstract object. But
What is? You see, listen, dude. You're very well educated, but you're evasive.
I'll
What
answer
is
the question right now. The cosmos.
What is the cosmos?
The cosmos is a whole that has as parts everything else that exists, like the stars, the planets, the trees, and so on. But a whole is a set.
Is there anything else independent of the cosmos?
No.
Okay. Well, if that's what you just said is incoherent now. Okay.
So why is
Because
that
the cosmos itself is unconditionally non-dependent. So everything within that is unconditionally non-dependent. So how is the moon? How is the moon a member of the cosmos? How is that unconditionally non-dependent? Did the moon begin to exist? So in other words, well, let me rephrase the question because I'm going to simplify it now. Did the cosmos begin?
No.
How do you know that?
Because it's part of a theory that is elegant, simple.
No. If it's a theory, then you don't know it.
Why does that follow?
A theory, if you know it, it wouldn't be a theory.
How does that follow?
Okay. If it's a theory, you don't know it.
I take it that a theory is just a set of sentences.
No. Theories in science are provisional. How do you know that the cosmos, okay, is in fact non-dependent? How did you arrive at that?
Yeah, the definition of theory is a supposition or a system of ideas intended to explain something, especially one based on general principles independent of the thing.
How do you know that the cosmos, in and of itself, is unconditionally non-dependent?
Because I considered alternative theories, and I asked myself which theory explains the most and is simplest and is elegant.
Are you using abduction?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Conclusion in abduction are not logically necessitated. So you're guessing.
Well, no, you can know things that you haven't deduced.
No, sir. Abduction is an inference to the best explanation. It's not necessarily correct because tomorrow that explanation might be falsified.
So I can't know, for example, that my roommate cooked dinner by observing that there are dishes out on the table, because
in your worldview, your ontology cannot even account for your epistemology to know things. Now, how do you know that the cosmos is unconditionally non-dependent?
Are you asking me how I know that, or how I know that the methods by which I claim to know?
How do you know the cosmos is unconditionally non-dependent?
Abduction.
Okay, abduction is an inference to the best explanation. That's not the conclusion is not logically necessitated.
Right, but to know something, it doesn't
abduction is a guess.
Well, I take it that there. Do you think that there's no difference between a guess and
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I think. The conclusions in abductions are not logically necessitated. So what you're saying is you think this is the best explanation, but you don't know that it is the only explanation, that it's the truth. Is it true that the cosmos is unconditionally non-dependent?
Yes.
Because abduction cannot answer whether something's true or not.
It can provide you with justification to believe that something is true.
Sir, I don't care. That's right, and so can induction, but it's fallacious. Now,
do you mind if I ask?
Listen. You're being devious here. Now, abduction. The conclusions in abduction are not logically necessitated. So therefore, you're guessing. What may be a best explanation at one time may turn out not to be another time. Okay? At one time, Newtonian celestial mechanics was the best explanation, was it not?
Sure.
Good. Is it the best explanation now?
Yeah.
No, it is not.
Can I ask you a question that I think will be helpful?
I'd like an answer to my question. Is Newtonian celestial mechanics the best explanation now?
I answered
already said yes.
Okay, good. So therefore, I just demonstrated to you that abduction, conclusions from induction, are not logically necessitated. So you do not know that the cosmos is necessarily unconditionally non-dependent. And by the way, how could you possibly know that a non-personal entity that is unconditionally non-dependent? How could you possibly know that?
So I agree that abduction isn't logically necessitated.
That's a question. How
Right.
could you possibly know that the cosmos is unconditionally non-dependent? It's not communicative. Do you survey all of the cosmos? Do you have access to the entire cosmos?
No, I do not have access to
How
it.
do you know that there's not something upholding the cosmos? Do you know that there's nothing that is actually securing the existence of the cosmos? Do you know that?
No, there are a bunch of things I don't know.
Good. And end of story. Good. Then so what you just did is you flip-flopped when you said, I don't know what is unconditionally non-dependent. You realized that this was going to render your atheism as incoherent, and you say, wow, I better make up something that's unconditionally non-dependent or my atheism is going to be incoherent. I've now demonstrated that your made-up answer is ad hoc. You're just asserting the cosmos is unconditionally non-dependent as an ad hoc maneuver to insulate your atheism from being incoherent.
So,
Isn't that true what you're doing?
no, that's not true.
Oh, so when you appealed to the cosmos being unconditionally non-dependent, that wasn't ad hoc to insulate your atheism?
No.
Good. Then can you explain to me then why it was a short while ago you said, I don't know what is unconditionally non-dependent. And then when I explained to you that your atheism would be rendered incoherent in light of the fact that the foundation was unknown and you wouldn't have interpreted facts, then bing, all of a sudden it popped into your head what was unconditionally non-dependent. That's what we call ad hoc, sir. Now, do you know that there is not something that is securing the cosmos? For example, do you know that there is no eternal God securing the cosmos? Do you have a defeater that there is a God securing the cosmos?
Yeah, I think so. I think I have various.
Good. What is your defeater that there's a personal absolute that secures the cosmos? What is it?
So one argument would be divine hiddenness.
No, sir. That's not a defeater that no personal absolute exists.
Why not?
How does it follow?
So if God exists, then God is perfectly loving.
Sir. How do you know that if there's a personal absolute, what properties it would have? How do you know what it would have?
By having a basic grasp of the essences of things.
No, sir. Essence of things? You don't have a grasp of the essence of things because you don't know what is fundamentally absolute.
Well, you can have a grasp of the essences of things without knowing what is.
No. Then there would be uninterpreted facts, sir.
So how can we know about?
You're whistling now. Okay, listen. The most basic, bare minimum properties that we can affix to a God is that we have an ultimacy of reality that is unconditionally non-dependent and personal. Okay, now. How do you know that no such entity exists and actually upholds the cosmos? How do you know that doesn't exist? How did you rule that out?
Wait, can I ask a quick question about something that you said leading up to the question?
Sure. By the way, can I give you a compliment?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. I've been really, really, really hard on you. Okay. And you've been very cordial and patient. And I usually do not get, almost never, atheists who have the kind of disposition, character, and demeanor that you do. And I think it deserves a great big compliment.
Yay!
Okay? I mean, I disagree with you, but you get 5 stars for demeanor. Because usually the atheists that I deal with go into a complete meltdown, okay? And you have done none of that.
Cool, thanks. I appreciate it.
Okay.
So my question was, you asked how I can know what is essential and what isn't essential.
No. I said, how do you know that a personal absolute is not upholding the cosmos?
Right, but I'm asking a question about something you said leading up to that. And one of the things that you said is the only thing that we can know, or at least the only thing that I can know, is that what is essential to God, or whatever you want to call it, is that it's the ultimate foundation of reality and that it's personal. But how is it that I can know that it's essential to such a thing that it be personal, but not know that it's essential to it that it be perfectly loving? Because there have been some individuals who are theists.
No, I didn't say whether or not it was loving. I just didn't discuss it. I just said, how do you know that a personal absolute, whether or not it includes other properties. Okay, how do you know that a personal absolute is not upholding that? Whether or not it has additional properties. Okay, I'm waiting for an answer.
Right. The answer, I think, again, is going to be inference to the best explanation.
That's a fallacy
How is that a fallacy?
because it's not logically necessitated. Because inferences to the best explanation have been wrong. They're not logically necessitated. How do you know that a personal absolute is not upholding the cosmos? Do you know that?
So I know it by inference to the best explanation.
Okay, listen, like a dog bone going back to its vomit, that's already been rebutted because that's not logically necessitated. Okay?
But I'm denying that to know that P.
Inference to the best explanation is not logically necessitated, sir, because what has been deemed to be best explanations in the past turn out to be wrong.
I agree with that. But
Good.
it seems
So therefore, is it necessarily true? Is it necessarily true?
it's not part of my view that it's necessarily true that the cosmos.
Good. Then the fact of the matter is then you're conjecturing.
So, are you assuming that to know that P has to be true? Because I think you can know something even if it's possibly false.
Repeat the question.
Do you think that for me to know a proposition, that proposition can't fail to be true?
That's a good question.
Because it could be that you know a proposition by some method that doesn't necessitate that proposition, because the proposition might be false even if the method is applied.
Okay.
Just like
the bottom line here, okay, is you're appealing to abduction, that a personal absolute is not upholding the cosmos. Okay, what is best to you may not be best to something else. It's not logically necessitated, so you can't offer this. It's fallacious. Okay, so you don't know that a personal absolute is not upholding the cosmos. You have a strong belief through abduction that you've made a value judgment based upon an incomplete data set. Are you dealing with an incomplete data set, sir?
I think what's going on here is that I'm understanding.
Are you dealing with an incomplete data set?
Sure, because there are
good. Therefore, there could be some occurrence or observation, since you only have a small data set compared to the whole of everything that exists. There could be an encounter or an observation that might falsify that you're unaware of. You don't know that. So an appeal to abduction is a fallacy. Let me ask you this question. When it comes to theoretical explanations in science, people adopt theories through abduction. But those theories, okay, that let's say they're held in consensus, right? A theory is held in consensus, and it's adopted through abduction. Is that theory falsifiable in principle?
in the sciences?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So if it's falsifiable in principle, then it's not necessarily true. Because it could be falsified tomorrow.
Right. But I can
Good.
know.
Okay, you just listen to me. Listen. What you're introducing is you're doing a diversionary tactic, okay? And I think that your question is very intriguing, but it's a red herring, okay? And I'm going to think about your question because I'm glad you brought that up. But it's still a red herring. So conclusions by abductions are not necessarily true. So when you say that you know that a personal absolute does not secure the cosmos, it's not necessarily true.
Do you think that the only things that we can know are necessary truths? Because presumably Christians think that they might.
Listen. I'll have to think about that, but that's still a diversionary question. Okay, that is a good question.
You're inferring from the fact that a proposition I claim to know isn't necessarily true.
Okay,
that I don't know it.
No. You haven't demonstrated that it's necessarily true. You're asserting that it's true. Is it? Is it necessarily true?
So now you're saying that not only does it have to necessarily be true, but I have to demonstrate that it's necessary?
Is it true? Is it true that a personal absolute does not uphold the cosmos?
Yes, but that's a contingent truth.
Okay. Is it and is it in virtue of abduction?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, but abduction doesn't entail something that's necessarily true. It's believed to be true, but it's not necessarily true.
Right.
So you believe it's true. Is it necessarily true that a personal absolute does not uphold the cosmos?
I just asserted that it's contingent that a personal being doesn't uphold the cosmos. So in other words, it's not necessarily true that it doesn't.
Okay, so then you don't know it. So here's the bottom line.
Follows.
Listen. Here's the bottom line. Listen, dude, you are whistling past the graveyard. You're a very well educated person when it comes to logic and basics of philosophy, but you're still whistling past the graveyard. You're operating under autonomy. You do not know what the nature. You do not know what the nature is on a grand scale, do you? The nature of reality. Do you know what it is?
I know what it is. Can I ask a question? I really do think.
So you know what the nature of the being is in its entirety. You know that?
Oh, I don't think I know that. I'm not sure that.
Oh, okay, good. Then it's game over.
Wait, why does that?
If you don't know what the nature of being is, then you don't know what dependent facts are.
Wait, why can't I know that everything depends on this being, and furthermore that it's essential?
You do not know what the nature of being, the ultimate nature of being. You don't know what its properties and attributes are, do you?
I know what at least some of its essential properties are.
Do you know what all of you don't even know part of the attributes and properties. When I say listen, when I say the nature of being, I'm not talking about the totality of existence. Do you understand that? I'm talking about what is the ground of all being that provides for all dependent facts. Now, do you know what the properties are of the ground of all being that in turn provides for all dependent facts? Do you know what those properties are?
I think I know what the properties are that enable the ultimate foundation of being to explain everything else.
Do you know what the properties are of the ground of all being that provides for all dependent facts?
Are you asking me, do I know all of its properties?
Do you know any or all? Of the
I
ground
know.
of all being.
I know any. In other words, I know some of them.
Give me one property of the ground of all being.
It's self-identical.
Okay. How do you know that?
Because I know that everything is self-identical.
How do you know that?
Uh,
Do you know that through do you know that through induction, deduction, or abduction, sir?
none of those.
How do you know it?
You broke up a little bit.
How do you know it then? How do you know for all entities that exist, they always equal themselves in a time index and cannot equal their negation or coexist with their negation? How do you know that?
By knowing that it follows from classical first-order logic.
Yeah. That's you know what that is. That's a throwaway statement. Listen. Did you think you fooled me by that?
No, because I assume you're going to ask me how.
No, Dr. Z. Seriously, I'm asking you to be ruthlessly truthful right now. Do you think you fooled me with that?
No, I don't think I fooled you with that.
Yeah, no, you didn't. So stop with the diversionary answer and tell me, how do you know that all entities that exist, okay, that you don't have access, always equal themselves? How do you know that? Are you omniscient?
No, I'm not omniscient.
Okay, how do you know that all entities always equal themselves?
I suppose I would.
Is it through sense? Is it through your sense perception?
No, I would say it's
Is it through your thinking?
sure through my thinking.
So how does your thinking determine what the nature of all entities is? How is that? Because you're not omniscient.
Um,
How did your thinking determine the nature of all entities when you're not omniscient?
I'm not quite sure I understand the question. Are you asking for a causal?
How do you know that for all entities that exist, they always equal themselves? How did you determine that just by your thoughts?
Through having a basic intuition that provides me with justification.
Okay, good. Intuition is not a rational justification, so you don't have a rational justification.
Why is intuition not a rational justification?
What intuition is non-rational.
Um,
Do you have a rational justification that all entities equal themselves in a time index? Do you have a rational justification for that?
yes,
What is it?
intuition, where intuition is a rational justification.
No, it's not.
But why not?
Listen, sir, stop bullshitting me.
Look, on my view, justification bottoms out.
What does explain to me what is intuition? What is that?
It's an attitude toward a proposition that is associated with a certain phenomenal feel.
So you have an attitude, and that makes it the case that all entities equal themselves? I mean, you're bullshitting.
It doesn't make it the case, but it does make.
No, listen, sir, listen to me. Because you have had some formal education in logic, you're using your adeptness at making logical phrases to bullshit. I'm not stupid. Okay? What you're simply doing, okay, is it's a kind of sophisticated filibustering. Okay? You're seemingly giving me intelligent answers, but they're simply red herrings. Okay? They're diversionary tactics. Okay? You went from telling me I don't know what the ground of all being is. I don't know what is ultimate and absolute. And within minutes, when you realized that would put you in a position where your atheism was incoherent, that you figured, oh wow, now I'm gonna have to pick up something that's ultimate and absolute. You're lying. How did you go from within minutes, not knowing at all what was the ground of all being and unconditionally absolute, to all of a sudden you know it's the cosmos? How did you know that in just a couple of minutes? Can you explain that?
So are we leaving the topic of intuition and going back to the
Listen, answer the question, okay? Because now you're being disingenuous. How did you go from not knowing what was the ultimate nature of reality within a couple minutes, when you realized it would render your atheism incoherent because you wouldn't have a basis for interpreted facts? All of a sudden, you know what the ground of all being is. How did that happen?
abduction?
Yeah, okay, you're a jitter. Get the hell out of here.
I'm a
Okay, so everyone in the room, you see what this guy does? The guy has had some education in philosophy and logic. He's certainly very intelligent, and he's using that education to give BS answers. Okay, does everybody know what abduction is? Anybody not know? Anyone? Bueller?
Please educate me.
Abduction is a way of reasoning. It's an inference to the best explanation. But it's not necessarily true. Okay? Because what may be deemed to be a best explanation at one time index, at another time index, when we have additional observation, may turn out not to be the best explanation. Okay? You following me?
Yep.
That guy is probably one of the most sophisticated, deceptive atheists I've come across.
Did you mute him?
Yeah, I did. I got tired of his BSing, and then he left. When he keeps on appealing to abduction, the conclusions of abduction are not necessarily true, because they could be wrong. And if you could be wrong, can you say you know it?